Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jane Secker from the Centre for Learning Technology. Welcome to the Networked Ed seminar. We have Karine le Joly from HEC Paris here this afternoon. I'm delighted she's able to join us to talk about how they're using iPads in executive education in her institution. Karine is the Director of Innovation and Academic Coordination for the Executive Education Programmes at HEC Paris. She's really looking at expanding a dedicated faculty network which is all around the academic management systems and processes of executive education. She's also very interested and involved with developing innovative content and innovative teaching methods, one of the reasons why we're all here, but particularly those that support the use of new technologies. So this is really about the kind of ongoing story of work in progress at HEC Paris. I think we're going to have a bit of hands-on as well, so if you have brought along your device, then I think she's very keen that we can all share our experiences and views of the use of iPads in education. So I'll hand over to Karine. And if just to say that because we're live streaming, if you do want to ask questions and you want them to go to the live stream, you need to use this microphone so that everybody watching online can hear. Okay.
So we will use the microphone actually to start with, because I have a couple of questions for you actually.
Okay.
But first, thank you, Jane, for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me today. As you said, I'm in charge of innovation and coordination for executive education programs. Maybe a little bit of background about who we are actually. So HEC Paris is more than 100-year-old institution. I think not as old as LSE though. We're a business school and we cover the full range of programs from the master's degree to MBA and executive education, as well as a doctoral program. For executive education, maybe I could give you some more details because it's important to understand, kind of put things into context. So we train about 8,000 people a year in programs that are all part-time programs actually, because our students are actually not students, they are clients and we call them participants. So they're all in activity, they're more or less mid-career managers or executives. So people with a lot of experience. If you think of the number of people in the room with 20 years, each of them 20 years of experience, it's a lot. It's many years of aggregated experience in the rooms. So we actually have programs, a full range of programs, including degree programs like executive MBAs. We have two, one of them in partnership with the London School of Economics actually, and NYU. It's called the Triumph Global Executive MBA. We have our own executive MBA, which has about 300 participants a year in France, in Paris, as well as in Qatar, where we have a location, and in China. So this is multi-local, global programs, because there are a lot of exchanges between our participants. Then we have specialized executive masters in different managerial areas. We have short programs, what we call open enrollment programs, and half of our activity will be dedicated to custom programs. So programs that we develop specifically in partnership with a company to address the training needs of their top executives. Rather than training, actually, it's more about supporting the strategy of the company through specific development frameworks. So that's the range of our activities. And like Jane said, I'm in charge of the coordination, which is like liaising and developing our faculty. We have about 600 faculty teaching in our program, faculty and outside experts, adjunct lecturers teaching in our programs. That's one part, which has taken me a lot of time for the last couple of years. And progressively, I've been moving to the second part my job, which is innovation, and that's why well, Jane thought it might be interesting for us to share experience. After this long introduction, I said I would be as interactive as possible, and then as always, I'm very talkative and talk. So now I'd like to know very quickly which domain you are coming from, or maybe if you tell me how you use the iPad, I will know more or less who you are. So tell me how you use the iPad for me to better understand your expectations for the session. So I see there are many iPads around the room. Do you use the iPad for personal, professional purposes? Personal? Both? So both, two hands, okay? There are people who do not use the iPad at all? Should I?
Just on the professional side.
Okay. And if you could tell me, it's just a quick poll that we'll do the traditional way. If you could tell me some of your favorite applications, the applications that you like for personal or professional purposes. YouTube. Okay. Well, I'll put it here. Okay. Notability. Which one? I didn't get that. Mail? This one I don't know. Okay. Chain? Chim. Oh, you have to tell me what it is. Okay. Facebook. Okay. Email. Email, okay. Calendar. Evernote, okay. Sticky notes. Do you, any of you teach? Do you use any application for teaching?
I actually use the YouTube, but it's not an app. It's just
Yeah.
it's a website that helps me coordinate study groups.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, SlideShark. Yeah.
SlideShark?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like it?
Doesn't work very well at the LC.
Doesn't work for me either. Air Sketch. Put here. Explain everything. You all know Explain Everything? No? No? Okay. What do you use Explain Everything for? That's a good point. But which situation? When do you have to explain everything, actually? That's what I like to know.
I know one of the teachers we've been working with is using it in a flipped classroom context.
Okay. So we might talk after the session. Okay. Explain everything, screencast, okay. Wow, so there's quite a lot of expertise in the room. So what I'll try to do during the remaining hour or so, and maybe we can finish a little bit later, is do a compromise. Is tell you our story, how we've been deploying the iPad for 2 years now at HEC Executive Education, the objectives, where we are, the doubts we are having, and then switch to some applications that you might find useful for teaching, to recommend to professors for teaching in the flipped classroom situation, because these are representative of the applications that we use at HEC. And the first thing is so. What I try to do here is, and then the technology is always tricky. Okay, so here we are. Okay. So what I'm doing is actually the way we use the iPad in class. We've had to cheat a little bit with the network here, so I could display my iPad through the network. But that's how we are equipped. At the beginning, it was not possible. I'm not a tech person, so I did my PhD in the field of strategy, so I'm not at all a tech person. But I understand that it was not possible, and so the IT people worked on our network, and now we have a software on all of our computers in our room called Air Server, which enables us, our faculty, to video project their iPad through the Wi-Fi. This is an iPad. I'm not quite at this stage of wanting to throw the thing, the whole thing. But if you remember, if you know the Gartner curve of innovation, with a lot of excitement at the beginning, and then going down until you reach the wise plateau, I would say. I'm kind of in the consolidation phase. I've been through the slope and slightly recovering to make the thing sustainable. So that's really the story I want to tell you. So it all started in in September 2012. Actually, we had a pilot program in starting in 2011 with just a couple of our participants equipped, but we really went live in September 2012 with more than 500 participants in various programs equipped. The rationale, and I come back to the kind of programs that we have equipped with iPad. The rationale, the first objective, was for us to support the mobility of our participants. They do come in part-time programs. They are busy executives. They are traveling, and there was a time when we were discussing this at lunch. We were printing the class materials. And we had a paperless policy, but which involved to allow laptops in the classroom, and it was really a problem for faculty to have all those laptops, the cover of the laptops up on the tables. So the first objective was really to support our participants' mobility, and at the same time allow them to access their materials in class without too much disruption. And so the idea of launching this program around the iPad. Our first focus really was our attention was really dedicated to making it right for the students first, for the participants, and then at the same a little bit later, but in parallel we started working with faculty on how they could use they could take advantage of the iPad in class and not having this phenomenon that we were also discussing this morning, the cone of distraction. You have a laptop. It's less true with an iPad, but then all of a sudden you have all the center of attraction. Moving from the faculty to the person with the laptop, so it was again less disrupting with the iPad, but we knew we had to do something about helping faculty using the tool that the device that the participants were getting. This just to so you can put that into the context. It's part of a broader strategy that we are trying to maintain for executive education. So first, adapt to our participants' mobility, build a global learning environment. As I said, our participants are all international participants. We have classes in different locations, and we've made a lot of efforts already to have mobility possible for our participants to move from one location to another. But we felt that we had to leverage our international presence to enhance the course offering that we were giving to our participants. So this project around synchronous and non-synchronous course offering, building on our different locations to offer a full set of resources to our participants. The third axis is, well, it's more new, it's newer. We've been on iTunes U for a while, not just executive education, but the whole of HEC. Now in executive education, there's a real reflection around MOOCs and the impact of MOOCs on our programs, on professional education, corporate university, our relationships with corporate universities. We feel we need to contribute, and we want to contribute to education on a larger base, and that's why we'll actually have 2 MOOCs starting on Coursera one in about 2 weeks and the second one in March. But so at the HEC level, but at the executive education level, we also reflect on those questions. And the fourth, actually, I should have put things into a different order, is develop teaching scenarios based on blended learning. We have a strong tradition, a strong preference for face-to-face learning, to the point that we do not have an LMS, but we use our in-house platforms that are far from having the functionalities and the features of a modern LMS or nor collaborative features. And this is an important point to explain how we've developed the iPad project, because it was a very strong constraint for us. So we're working hard on imagining all the sorts of offerings for our participants through blended learning programs and experiential learning, which has always been here in executive education, again, because you have to work on the experience of the participants, and there's no way you can deliver a session like I'm just doing with you, with our executives. So I'll move quickly on this. So our roadmap to the iPad. So again, the objectives was first to adapt to the participants' mobility, providing them with an electronic school bag, and we've made the choice to maybe I show you the entire thing with the principles. Okay, when I was asked to take the lead on that, I had 2 orders given to me. Make it fast, and you have no money for this. But we need to we need to be modern. We need to avoid this situation where participants have to go on the platform to get their materials. We want them to be really really mobile and flexible in accessing their materials. So this led us to one principle. Since I had to go fast and since I had almost no money, is we chose to equip the programs, the longest programs. We still could afford to give an iPad to our participants. So we're not managing a float of iPads. Rather, our principles was to give participants provide participants with an iPad that they would keep after the training. The rationale also for that was that, well, like you said, you use the iPad for professional and personal purposes. So it didn't make sense for us to lend an iPad. There are other institutions which do that, like competitors like IMD in Switzerland has done that. But for us, it was important that the participant would make use of the iPad in all circumstances. So we decided we would equip rather the longest programs where there's quite a lot of materials as well to be handled. So where it made sense. So we have 10 programs overall that are where we provide iPads at the beginning of the program. One of the other principles is that, well, from that starting point, we didn't develop any applications. We didn't push any, we recommend applications. We strongly recommend applications. We train participants, so we support them in the use of certain applications. But the idea is really that they develop their own usages. So we provide them with an empty iPad that they will learn how to use if they don't have one, if they didn't have one before. The other principle is that we leverage the ecosystem of applications that exist, with a second objective related to that, which is, well, participate and contribute to understanding the new knowledge economy. It's a little bit like it's very ambitious title, but what we would like to see is, and work with participants is to see how they appropriate, how they communicate, how they appropriate some of the social networks, social learning tools, and so on through the use of the iPad. And then I'll come back to that point because it's a learning point for me. Yes, sorry.
Hi. My question really was, why the iPad and not other tablet devices? Was that just and with that, have you noticed? I haven't seen really the iPad. I've seen it with the iPhone, where there's some problems with applications not being able to go on the iPhone. So I was wondering if you found a similar thing with iPads.
No, so when we started the project in 2011, it was obvious that we would use the iPad because all of the other tablets were not, as the Android and were not as big as they are now. So it was obvious. We also had a equipment rate of our participants, which were like 40 to 50% of our participants already hold an iPad. And when we asked, when we asked whether they hold another tablet, on a class of 50 or 60, only one person would use a Samsung, for example, or another tablet. And this is really across. I put aside our Qatari class, where they do not own just one iPad, but maybe two, and they have a BlackBerry, and they have an iPhone, and they're like multi-connected. But this has been stable over the years. The level of the tech savviness of the participants has evolved a lot, and that's one key thing that I will come back to later. So it was obvious. It's still obvious because the iPad combines, which I think other tablets do not. The iPad combines both the features of the projectivity, of accessing to information for participants, which are the features that we want to reinforce, and the pedagogical applications that we can do with the professors. Now, there's a trade-off. There's an obvious trade-off for the participants not being able to use their usual Microsoft Office suite on the tablet, for sure. Still, so we're looking at other tablets. We're looking at the trains, but we're still sticking to the iPad. Maybe you have other experiences or other thoughts to share to challenge this statement. And see, well, I don't know whether you might have other tablets. I didn't ask you whether you hold another tablet. No. So in terms of how we did that, the first thing is we had to constitute a small team of people. Colleagues mostly from different backgrounds, to support participants as they were growing familiarity with the iPad. So we had the process we have with participants is basically the following. At the beginning of the program, we have a workshop with them to go through the first steps of using the iPad and recommending some apps. We've done our own guides to using the iPad. I can show you some of them, because we felt there was really nothing in on the internet that was focused enough for executives. We didn't have a lot of time to go through the materials, and we usually have after the first training we have iPad clinics, so where participants can meet the IT people and some of our colleagues for supporting them in their usages. And then we usually have another or several sessions with participants to share some of the applications they might want to use. So from the beginning, we wanted to do something that was quite participative for participants as well, to contribute to the knowledge, to a common knowledge and building the expertise. You probably don't see what's written, but for us to be able to do that and roll out through 10 programs, when sometimes some of us were traveling, we had to formalize the different steps. We had to formalize the training so anybody could replace anybody in the process. So I can, for example, show you how some of our tutorials are are organized. So this is the iTunes U library that we actually use to provide participants with the class materials. And so this is my library, and among the materials, and I hope I won't need the internet to show you some of them. So it looks like a binder. It used to look like a binder before the iOS 7 came into the picture, but maybe they are not. Yeah. So this is an example of one of the users' guide that we've developed. This is really the really basic one. Nothing interactive, really, just PowerPoints, but that the participants can refer to at any moment. And so we have a couple of them actually, and we're still want to increase our library of resources around applications. So far we have things around, well, to get started with the iPad, managing multiple IDs, setting up emails and calendars, the first step when you arrive at HEC, syncing your iPad, making sure that you have everything on different devices, making sure that you back up your iPad, and some of the usages like annotating document, applications, suggested apps, and that's the area where we want to have more resources. So this is actually an introduction to how we use the didn't like the fact that I changed the application. So this is really the way participants interact with their iPad. They get all of the class materials on iTunes U through binders that help them that indicate how they get through the materials. It's actually the private part of iTunes U. You probably know the iTunes U library catalog. So we use the private features of iTunes U, which means that we can create binders for only our participants and registered users. And from there, we indicate them, well, there's the first things that they will want to do is actually study on the materials on an individual basis. So through annotation tools, for example, and so far we've recommended Goodreader. We tell them also, well, we indicate a couple of applications for note-taking, some of which you also use. But what we tell them also is that, well, there's much more they can do throughout the day, and actually that's what you've pointed out, like getting organized, getting access to their emails and agenda on the move, access to a larger range of information through Safari, of course, but through other dedicated website, educational media, take notes in different ways actually, so they can also capture ideas. You mentioned sticky notes, for example. Here are some examples of all stuck up or mind mapping tools. You can take photos with your iPad, and quite frankly, this was what was happening. I remember one of the sessions where I went later on, and everybody was doing exactly what she's doing, with her don't worry, you'll get the presentation with their iPhone or their iPad. I say, but why? We give them an iPad, or we give you an iPad, and you take photos with an iPad. I mean, there are plenty of other users you can develop. And then, but what happened is that, well, each of them developed like their own their own usages, and still, we don't want to force them to use the iPad, and still taking notes on the flip chart makes really sense. But what really is nice about it is that they incorporate the photos. They incorporate the photos of the flip charts, and they incorporate the photos they take into the class into their notes, which make them even more valuable for them to capture the experience that they had in class. So they could do it with an iPhone, but since with the iPad it's integrated with note taking. Just for that, I think it's worth it. We'll tell them they can make presentations with the iPad. We'll come back to that. Of course, all of the social networks you'll find on the iPad as well. Skype, Google Hangout to collaborate, social bookmarking tools, and all the synchronization and sharing devices. So that's pretty much where we are in terms of deploying the iPad with our participants to make it a valuable, a useful school bag where they can find their materials. They have one place where they can find all the materials for the course, organized as the program develops. With instructions, because that was what iTeach was for. The so to speak binder when it came out about 2 or 3 years ago, and in supporting different applications, or giving them the opportunity to share their experiences. Now, the thing that the margins of progress, if I look at things where we are, of what we've learned, is the level of equipment of participants has not changed. The level of tech savviness of the participants has changed. 1 year ago. So we have, again, 40-year-old executives. 1 year ago, we had people who were, we had very different levels of familiarity with the iPad. So that was one of the key takeaways at the beginning, was to accommodate different levels. But still, we used to organize our workshops with having everybody in the same room, 10, 15 people in the same room, so they would be able to help each other. So we didn't have classes with, so to speak, sessions with different levels. We had everybody together because still there were people who were quite in the same framework of mind and savviness. Within 1 year, what we've seen is a divide in the level of people. We clearly now have classes, participants with people who've never ever used an iPad, or very little. They have an iPad at home. They have an iPad at home, but the kids use it. They might have an iPad for work, but they don't necessarily know how to use the iPad because they're forced into some of the professional apps for their companies. And then there are people who have become really, really experts in using the iPad. And one of the key issues that we're facing at the moment is the expectations around having easy access to notes, materials from any device, the computer, the iPad, the iPhone. And we have people who are, 1 year ago, many people never had heard about the cloud. Now we have people who are really into this issues, into those services. And so for us, the consequence is, I've been very quick in showing you iTunes U, and but you can deduct from my previous slide actually that the way iTunes U work, it's like a mailbox where, although it's nice, user-friendly, iPad-friendly, it is a mailbox with very limited functionalities for students to annotate within the app. And what happens is there's actually no synchronization possible on the computer. It's iPad only. So we actually have to go through other sorts of application to get advantage of the materials through note taking, through a PDF, or just simply send them to a Dropbox account or a cloud account to make the materials available on another device. And this doesn't work. This doesn't work anymore. So any choice made concerning delivering materials today on the iPad should be cloud-oriented and multi-device oriented. It was a constraint that we had, not having an LMS. We are looking into Google Drive, but it doesn't fit our purposes either. So so that's a progress, a topic of progress for us. But we do have, like, we don't have a lot of lack time to appreciate, but things are moving very quickly, as I said. So we already see some of the behaviors changing. But we survey participants in terms of the use of the iPad, and it's okay. I mean, it's okay. They develop their own level of usages. Some are not really experts. Some will really basically take notes on notes, take photos, and but for sure they appreciate the fact that they can use their materials they can actually travel with their iPad and read and study the cases and so on. Now, for the other aspects, the other aspect of the project, at the same time as we were working with the students, we started working with faculty on how they could use the iPad in class, and this led us to formalize a little bit more how we can use the different sorts of applications and for which purposes. If you think of, at least that's what we came up with. It's not very original, but if you think of the key features of the iPad, the portability, the fact that it's the instant waking up and so on, is what really the iPad is all about. Is bringing some individual projectivity. Facilitating access to information anytime, anywhere. And the third one is, again, because it's accessible anytime, anywhere, is facilitate interaction. So we worked around those three themes to see how we could possibly enhance the use of the iPad in different situations, whether we are between classes or in class, in individual applications, or for collaborative purposes. And what we started doing is we started presenting the iPad to faculty, having several workshops in some of the programs where we were deploying the iPad. One of the sessions that we asked the model that we had was we asked faculty to tell us what they would like to change in what ideally, if they had all of the resources and so on, what they would like to change to their pedagogy. It was always in the context of a reflection on the program. So we had our faculty gather to reflect on the structure of the program, on the general curriculum of the program. Then we were going one step down to ask them, well, individually, take your course, and what would you like in an ideal world? What would you like to do? What would simplify your life? And then we started showing them some of the features of the iPad, and we did that a couple of times, and that's what the faculty came up with in terms of how they thought the iPad could help them into their pedagogy and could help them reaching their objectives and enhance their pedagogy. Some of the things that came up, so are really learner-centered between classes. It's more around productivity, doesn't really imply faculty. But what they told us is, well, it could be nice. It's certainly a nice tool for students, for participants to manage their learning activities, having access to their agenda on the move and so on. It probably facilitates individual work as they're traveling. It can also help them access wider set of information. Probably encourage active learning, searching and learning. Okay, well. More interesting, because then it concerned them. They told us, well, wow, it's interesting because it might help to bring the real world into the classroom. There was quite a consensus on all those questions. Actually, some of the workshops we had them write down. So individually, so this is the result of piling up their responses. They didn't see any of the others' responses. So there was quite a lot of consensus around all those things. Now, from the fact that they think that the iPad can bring the real world into the class, rather than banning the iPhones and the internet and so on, to actually bringing the real world into your class is something different. But it tells us also, well, it can enrich content. Yep.
Mind if I ask a question?
No?
Do I need to?
You need the mic.
Probably, yeah.
It's not really a question.
It's a comment.
Yeah, well, it's not really a comment, and it's not really a question. I was just, could you go into a bit more detail what you exactly mean by bring the real world into the classroom?
Oh, sorry.
Because because I think it's quite a strong claim.
Yeah,
and
it's so. Yes.
maybe
Sorry.
An example?
It's just a matter of allowing participants to use the internet while they're in the class to search for information. So one of the applications we have, this is what I call bring the real world into the classroom, where we have a pedagogy that is very much case-based oriented. And when I say case-based, so it's cases that have been written 3-5 years ago at best. I mean, how many of your faculty are using? Maybe not in this domain of political science, where you have to stick to how do you say actualité, to the events. To the events, But in management strategy, there are concepts that that are timeless. Although there are discussions about whether the Porter framework still applies, is still pertinent or not. But you still have you can use cases that are dated. Sometimes it makes sense because they are really good. But I think that organizations have reached a level of complexity. The environment they are into has reached such a level of complexity with strategies changing a lot that we really need to be looking at what's happening, and it means opening up the possibility to use the internet and accept the fact that you may be challenged by participants saying, that's not what I see on the website, what you're telling us, or by the way, the latest figure is, and so on. It really changes the posture.
So in that case, the point you're making really is to bring the real world in, to bring the internet in, so it's not really about iPad or tablet or anything.
No.
But anything. The main
It could
thing
be
is that we're all online.
Yes, exactly. And that's the important point, and that's the important takeaway that I'm reaching at the moment. Is that I was conscious from the beginning that I didn't want to, it was not a matter of using the iPad for the sake of using the iPad and using the latest technology for the sake of using the latest technology. It had to serve some pedagogical purposes. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. I'm just showing my slides from the iPad, taking the risk that the network will come down. I mean, I could have, it's just to show you, but I could just have used a clicker and used my laptop. It wouldn't make, in this case, it wouldn't make a difference. So from the beginning, I knew it was more important. It was all about the applications, and what you realize is that many of the things that you can do with an iPad is actually you can do with a computer. You don't need an iPad. Just the iPad makes it. That's what I thought at the beginning. It would make it more exciting. It would make it more exciting, especially for faculty. But behind that, it's all about the focus of the pedagogy in a world where access to information is everywhere. This is where knowledge is open, ubiquitous, accessible anywhere, anytime, customizable, and so on. So it's all about reforming our pedagogy to adapt to these new conditions of accessing knowledge and constructing knowledge and co-constructing knowledge through social networks. And so I'm anticipating on some of the conclusions that I had is at some point, because we were not so many people, basically 2 people leading the project part-time, and then some people around helping, supporting us. At some point, I got so attentive to making the technology work and making it right that at some point I forgot the foundations. And now this is why I said I'm in this phase of I just need to have like some backup probably on the technology to get my mind out of making things work, to go to the fundamentals. And if I want to push some of the applications I will show you is I know why, for which purposes. So to come back to our story, so they said bring the real world into the classroom. Okay, we can enrich content. Probably can facilitate teamwork, encourage networking. And that's more interesting. They said, well, also in class it can facilitate teamwork. It can help focus on collaborative learning process, and I will explain that in a moment. Capture participants' input and foster engagement and extend richness of interaction. There's nothing, again, apart from that, maybe, there's nothing that you can't do without an iPad. It's just that the iPad will probably make things easier, because this is the thing that you bring anywhere. At the condition you have the right synchronization, the right cloud services, so you can access everything you want. So from there, we started looking at the different applications that we could recommend. So we'll find some of the applications that we actually recommended to participants, like productivity, learner-centered. Well, okay, manage your learning activities by managing your agenda, having access to your course materials, being able to study those materials through some of the applications you mentioned, Goodreader, TechNotes. It's another view of what we recommend, what I already showed you, draw and sketch, capture ideas, edit, as always, edit documents, the Microsoft Suite documents. And this, of course, you can do synchronize, so you can collaborate. And this you can do also, you can use also in class. But we're learner-centered, we are so on individual applications that are more related to the productivity. So on information, those are the applications that we identify. Again, learner-centered. You can optimize your access to information, access anytime, anywhere, get specific materials with educational purposes, organize, optimize your access to information by, now the name is escaping, by building your own, by curating the content you're interested in. This you can do on a personal basis, but then you can also curate content, search for information on a collaborative basis through, of course, all of the social networks. We were talking about Twitter earlier today. Pearl Trees, Digo, Scoop It are social bookmarking tools that can be used also with the iPad. In class, well, real-time information, get access to news sources. TED, we have faculty using TED videos a lot. Again, could be without an iPad. But the iPad kind of launched the reflection around those applications. And interactivity. Communicate, socialize, collaborate, share. Through a lot of different tools, social networks. Again, social bookmarking is the other way around. Dropbox, cloud services, and those are some of the applications that our faculty are using in class. And you mentioned some of them, and this is what I'd like to show you in greater detail. That's the way we classified. That's the way we try to formalize the value of the iPad. We try to classify the ecosystem of applications. There are many more, of course, applications available than those. So they work for us, and I'll show some of them to you in a moment. So in terms of application, we have faculty, after we had those workshops, we supported individual projects. Oh, one thing I forgot. At the beginning, our directors were quite afraid that if we started in executive education, giving iPads to some of the faculty teaching in our programs, all the faculty would be asking for iPads. So I was instructed to be cautious and just provide iPads to those faculty who had projects. The thing is, you don't know which projects you're going to, you can't figure out any project until you have the iPad into your hand. So very quickly, we totally changed the thing. And so I don't have 600 of the 600 lecturers and professors equipped with the iPad, but I have now about 70 professors and adjunct faculty, affiliate professors that who are equipped with the iPad. And last year I had about four workshops with faculty showing some of the applications that they could use, but it's far from being enough. Actually, it's a lot. It's a real change process with a lot of communication involved, and you have to keep the momentum, and you have to communicate on what's new, and be available anytime there's an issue. And so it's an ongoing process with faculty especially.
How did you decide who actually got hold of an iPad for the purposes of your projects?
As I said, all of the faculty who are teaching, all of the full-time faculty, affiliate professors, and key adjunct lecturers who are not part of the full-time, were not HEC, teaching at least a 2-day course in the program, have an iPad, because that's the only way. If they want to, you want to start using the iPad, if we want them use the iPad in class, they need to be familiar with it, and they need to develop their own usages. I don't know if you use interactive whiteboards, like smart boards and so on. Do you have any of them? Do you have any? You probably have classrooms equipped.
Yes, but
with.
Very few.
We have them. The fact is, there are 2 or 3 professors probably using them because they love it, and they use it anytime. And they ask for the rooms which is equipped. They ask to teach in that room. The thing is, anytime I go in a room equipped with a whiteboard, I mean, it's once in a while. Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't remember how to use it, and I'm afraid to use it. The iPad, because I use it every day, I feel more comfortable with. So that was the rationale. At some point, to say, okay, don't wait for a project. There are some projects coming up. But don't wait for the projects don't wait for faculty to come up with projects. They can't just imagine what they could do with it until they have it, until you show them, until you work with them on some of the applications. But this, you all know. I mean, it's not new to you. It's just another testimony reinforcing this aspect. So what I have on my agenda now is to really work on those two aspects. You remember accessing information. You asked about that, and around this, I should say collaborative learning and collaborative screening of information and so on. So this is really what I'd like to work on now. See how this can be useful in an executive education context, because the nature of our participants is really different, I think, from the Gen Y that we have in class, and because the objectives are different. We work on the basis of the experience of our participants. What happens also, and this really relates to the collaborative learning and so on, is we do address in class, we do address company personal issues, personal leadership issues. Really, the blood of our programs is all about leadership. It's strategy, decision-making, leadership. And so we discuss personal issues as well as company issues. And there are always confidentiality, issues and so on. So what's applicable around the notion of authentic audiences? We were discussing at lunch the experience of a faculty who, rather than banning the use of Facebook in class, actually asked participants to post their answers on Facebook, and got feedback and got some collaboration and collaborative learning around this post. This is something we just can't do that way in executive education. So I feel that we have to find the ways to develop that. So that's really for me now. Forget a little bit about the iPad, going back to the fundamentals of the type of pedagogy we want to develop in our program, especially in a blended. In more and more blended setting, because people can't afford to spend even 4 days or 5 days in a class when their time can be optimized. So really think of the fundamentals, what we can do, and then come back to how you apply it in how you can leverage that thanks to an iPad or another tablet in a mobility context, actually. Still, there are things that are done and that I would like to show you. Some of our faculty are using Explain Everything. Nearpod, we're experimenting. None of you actually mentioned any of the polling systems that we use on the iPad. Maybe you use clickers, maybe you use other devices, other systems here at LSE. So I want to show you some of this, because we're running out of time. I don't know whether you know Digo. You use it. So, for example, we have a program where the professor along the program, which lasts about 9 months, as participants work on current topics and make restitutions in class of what they've seen, and specifically we use Digo for that purpose, where the groups do their benchmarking, their research on Digo, and then back to class can present the results of their curation activities. So we use Digo. This is a general management program where. So where it's for business unit managers, so people who are it's a 360 management program where people need to master a little bit above all the domains of management. And as a red thread, as one of the transverse activities we have in the program is this in French we say veille. And I don't know the equivalent, sorry. The equivalent in English is always difficult for me, but benchmarking and looking for information and analyzing this information to make it, the idea behind that is to make it pertinent for decision making. Screening of the information to make it pertinent for decision making. So that's one thing we do. Now, what I want to show you is, and I will quickly, so at this point I need to switch first, sorry. iPad. I'm sorry, what happens? Do you think I have to switch from one VGA to the other? VGA. Yeah. To go? Okay.
I'm just a bit conscious we don't want to miss in your training.
Okay. Okay. I will quickly show you some of the applications we use then. The first one, which I found really, really useful, is explain everything. That's it.
Yeah.
Is explain everything, where to use the iPad as a graphic tablet, actually. So I can create a document here and start typing. Moving things around. I don't have to show you, but I can surf on the internet, incorporate images, incorporate documents, write. If I have, and really it helps. Now I can't do it because because of the Wi-Fi. I can't move around. But what our faculty actually do, they use it walking around, and to the point that some of them are actually changing their presentations to, instead of having the presentations like I did, like all the going through all the PowerPoints, making sure that all the animations are just right, and instead of having that, what they're doing is they're having and the beauty of it is you can send that this to your participants. But what I did is I just, before the session, just loaded one of my presentations, and so or part of the presentations. And so some of our faculty now prepare their presentations to be able to interface with the participants during class and comment and co-construct the slides with them. Now I'm doing something stupid, but in accounting, for example, some of our faculty use it to just have like some of the problems, and they work on the problems or strategy. That's one thing they're doing. So, and it's really easy. You don't need a computer, just the iPad, and use Explain Everything for that. What really works well also, and I want to show you just one actually, and then I can send you more information to compare different poll polling tools because they all have their pros and cons. The one I show you, and that's what I wanted to do at some point, is having like some interaction, but I can just show you like this, is Socrative. Socrative is one of the polling systems. It's really, really interesting. You can do a lot of things with it. The only thing is the interface is not friendly at all. But it's really nice because I can just launch a quiz like a multiple choice question. If you connect to my room, which is 8019363, you will just see that I launched a poll, which is an ABCD. You answer, please go. Let's say I ask you a question: where is LSE located? London, Ashridge, Paris. A is London. Okay. Yeah, and so immediately I have the result. There's someone who has a problem with the geography here. So it's really it's nice because it really replaces a click. It really replaces a clicker. It's a more.
Is it free for the teacher as well?
Yeah. Maybe you have to buy the app, but contrary to certain apps where you have to if you want to use a certain number of where you have in-app purchases to accommodate a larger number of participants, I think that it's for.
Free the student bit,
No, for the student it's free. For the teacher, yes. For the institution, we would have to. I think it's the number. I have to look into that. It's a long time.
Everywhere again, then they'll have that kind of
freemium model. All of them.
Of course
Yeah.
they do, which is what I was going to ask, because you just said it really does. Sorry, I will take the microphone. That it does replace clickers, and we do use clickers.
For us, because we use the iPad.
Yes, but my question is but we use the clickers on a very high scale, like up to 600 students. Is there any way that this can be scalable? 600, 800 students.
Try first. I'm so iPad centric that you should try with the iPhone. I believe it works with an iPhone, or any others. Maybe other devices. I doubt, because you have to enter that room, so you have to have the application. Yes. But it works with iPhone, so you can have.
I know that Nearpod works with different things, iPhone and Android phone and.
So you could just see and have people use their iPhone, use their iPhones for polling. The other thing which is nice with Socrative is that you can prepare test quizzes from already from pre-prepared. Start. Randomized, as student pastes. Okay. And then we'll go. You have now you're in the room and you can answer. So this is one that we use because it has a lot of functionalities, but still not very. I'm just finishing just closing the poll, and okay, no report. Now, just for those who don't know Nearpod, are there still people who don't know Nearpod in the room? Just so I show you what it is. Yeah. Okay, you downloaded it. So So Nearpod is really a mix between, well, as I see it, but you tell me what you think. It's really a mix between interactive presentation and polling. The principle is the faculty will be able to incorporate interactive activities, collaborative activities into a presentation, something that is more used to, that is he or she is familiar with. This requires to, you prepare actually, what I can't show you is this requires to have Nearpod, to access Nearpod from your computer to prepare your presentations. Very easy, you just drag any PowerPoint or PDF file into Nearpod and start adding question. And so, there are some additional features actually to Nearpod. So here I log into my account. Sorry, and I have a couple of presentations, and I think I incorporated some questions here. So I will launch this. And for those who have already downloaded Nearpod, you can enter under the pin code of PBZUY. Okay, and I have taken control of your iPads. And I can ask you to participate to some activities.
What's the question?
PBZUY. I see within the... Okay, so I go to the next one, sorry. And then I can start an activity. And you can start you have to submit.
How do I submit? Oh, there.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So, and then I can move back to, well, it doesn't make sense really what I'm doing here, okay, because it's not, it would have to be worked out in a real pedagogical scenario. But from there, yeah, so I can go back to the presentation and having participants actually engaged, and with the fact that you control, that I control the speed of your presentations. The thing is, you can't take notes.
That's what I was going to say.
So it's a little bit, it's kind of a little bit dictatorial from the faculty side, but in some instances, I think it really. We haven't used it. We use it in meetings between us if we want to show things, and but we have never used it in a classroom setting yet, because I must say I'm a little bit afraid of the reaction of the network, having everybody connected at the same time to the network. But I think that there are situations, pedagogical situations, where it really can really make sense.
What's really good, it does mean you don't actually have to be in the class. Is that not
Yeah.
right? So if I am ill as a student, I can
Yeah.
actually follow everything.
A thing
Sorry,
from
I just
home.
said that,
Yeah.
you don't have to be physically
Yeah.
in your class,
Yeah.
which means from your sick bed,
Yeah.
you could follow your
Yeah,
presentation
exactly.
and then do polling as well.
Yeah. But I mean, still, you don't attend class. You don't attend class. You just see the flow of the slides, of the PowerPoints and the activities and so on, which is not quite the same experience. But for I think, fundamentals. It can really be helpful where you in classes where you really have to, like finance, when you really have to go from one concept to the other. It would mean that very quickly you would also provide materials in another way for participants to take their notes and do exercises and so on, but still to be invented. Those are the applications that I wanted to show you, because this is really attached to the associated with the iPad. For the rest, I mean, these are applications that can be used with any other device.
I just wondered if you'd come across lecture tools from Echo 360, which
Yeah.
does a very similar thing and allows the student to take notes.
Yeah,
within the app.
yeah. I still have to look into it. You have any feedback?
We haven't tried it yet. We use Echo 360, but I think we're looking
Yeah.
for some teachers to try it with.
Yeah, I still have to look into it. And someone was talking about BrainShark, which will allow to present PowerPoints, preserving the animation. Actually, that's one of the aspects I understand. But the thing is, it's not. So far, I haven't found it reliable in terms of the formatting and so on.
Yeah.
And Nearpod, it's the minimum. It's the free app I have that I can use for 30. So you can start training actually with Nearpod and faculty, because it's free until up to 30 users, and enough storage space.
Yeah, lecture tools definitely isn't free.
So
I think
that's
you need to make quite an investment before you can try
That's
it.
the argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Karine,
we think we have to stop
I think we're
here.
going to have to stop, because we're
Yeah.
in danger of you not getting back to Paris this evening. You know, I think we've really enjoyed that, and hopefully have further ongoing discussions. So if you could all just join me. I think we've had quite a few questions along the way. If you do want to ask Karine something, I'd suggest you do it very quickly, sort of as she's leaving. But I think for the live stream, we can kind of say thank you. And if you just show your appreciation to Karine for coming all the way
Thank you.
from Paris. Thank you.